only been 16 hours, and you've seen the devastation. Look at that. 16 hours ago, that was a home. 16 hours ago, there were so many homes, but 1,500 structures have been destroyed at least, and we know that it's affected so many people. 20,000 of them have been evacuated at this time. And so now what happens next as we go forward into this night and the darkness of this night? First of all, we can be sure that there are no firemen who are sitting on their hands. I mean, every fireman who can be there is there, but we're talking about 68 square miles, and over 70,000 acres of those 68 square miles have been burned.
But they made it very clear that their priority was evacuations and to save lives, and you know, the property came second. But they've been trying to put this thing out. But you're talking about, you know, what, more than 70,000 acres, you know, plus in all those counties. It's quite overwhelming. I look at this, and I'm going to, you know, say that many years ago, 1991, the East Bay firestorm. It's remarkable how much, when things get burned to a crisp, they all look the same. You know, the hollowed out shells of cars, and, you know, ashes on covering everything. It's a pretty devastating sight, to be sure.
Well, and people will recover, but now's not the time to talk about that, because there's lots of stuff happening. We can't even talk about percentage of containment, because firefighters are still doing their very best to try and fight this fire. And CAL FIRE doing its best to marshal resources across the state. We know this is huge here, and this may be history making. But in Southern California, they've got their own challenges right now. And once darkness sets, obviously no one's going to be getting up with helicopters or planes or anything else. So it's going to be all done on the ground.
Well, California does enjoy mutual assistance, and we did see firefighters with the LA, you know, firefighting insignia. But when you consider that Anaheim is burning, they're going to probably be pulled down there. You said also San Diego. Boy, do we have our hands full in this state. The good news here is that the Federal Emergency Management Agency is authorizing money for fighting these fires, at least in 7 Northern California counties, because the governor earlier today declared them disaster areas.
As we approach the bottom of the hour here, online at KRON 4 and streaming online and then over the air at KRON 4, we want to give you an update of several different facts here. Number one, there's 175,000 people in Santa Rosa, and we can say that in Sonoma, in Napa, 99,000 homes are without power tonight. 26,000 homes have had their gas turned off intentionally by PG&E as a matter of safety and precaution. So big concerns about that. And then communication on top of that. Right. Cell phone towers are presenting a real problem.
Yeah, people trying to get information out. And again, we have been broadcasting throughout the day, talking about the evacuation centers, shelters for people who have been evacuated, whether they lost their homes or they just don't know if they have a home to go back to. But certainly before nightfall, people are trying to find a place to be able to weather this firestorm until the danger passes. We have lists and lists of the shelters as more people are coming to them, and these shelters are filled to capacity. New places are opening up. We have surrounding areas. Solano County, Marin County has opened up shelters for folks. We have full lists, which gives you an idea which ones, so you don't waste your time if you are one of those poor souls who are out there trying to find you know, a safe place. We have full lists of this on our website, kron4.com.
So many people in the area of the 20,000 have been evacuated. They have places that they could go. They have friends, they have family, extended family that they could go. But on the other hand, you want to be close to home. You want to be nearby, because if your home is saved, or if it's close to being saved and you want to get back there and either withdraw some things from the home that's very important to you or protect it yourself, that's the sort of Damocles that dangles above the heads of so many people trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. And as you said many times on this day, Vicki, if you're told to evacuate, that's probably just the thing you ought to do.
Yeah, do it. Because the other weird nature of fires is, as we saw in some of those neighborhoods, you know, a woman saw on television that her home was still standing. She was able to go back, but as she looked, and this is a Santa Rosa neighborhood, the entire block was gone. And, fires can be very indiscriminate. All of a sudden it's moving in one direction, and then winds can shift, and then, it decides to go elsewhere. So some people are lucky, some people very, very unlucky. And, certainly all the firefighters and the sheriffs and the, first responders, people have been doing enormous good and a lot of work out there. We did see in some of those neighborhoods patrol cars out, and as Justine Waldman pointed out, some of those patrol cars are there to protect, property. We had signs of looters in some of those areas. One of our reporters said that even within 30 minutes in Santa Rosa, an apartment right after the fire hit, 30 minutes, people were looting an apartment.
Well, and again, we're still concerned about people. We're still concerned about your health out there. And Grant Lotus has a little update now on some concerns that are for families who are still in their homes.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Just got word that there is a boil water notice for part of Lake County. People are being affected by what's known as the sulfur fire, which is right near Clear Lake. If you're familiar with Lake County, it's sort of in the southeastern portion of the lake, and something is affecting water. So from here on out until further notice, people in the area of the sulfur fire have been told to boil water before drinking it. They'll let you know when it is safe to drink tap water. Again, they don't give any specifics in terms of why the water has been compromised, but people in the area are also being told to avoid using excessive amounts of water so that firefighters have the pressure they need to fight fires. So sort of a two-pronged informational release from Lake County's Sheriff's Department just 2 minutes ago. Don't drink the water if you don't boil it, and also try not to use much so that crews fighting the sulfur fire, which is, again, right near Clear Lake, have enough water to attack it.
All right, thank you, Grant. Appreciate that update. Now on your screen, you're seeing at the bottom there 2 deaths. These are 2 additional deaths confirmed. They, as a part of the Atlas Peak fire. The one previous death we had reported came about as a result of the Redwood fire. That is in Mendocino County. And of course, the Atlas fire is where we earlier reported some of the successful rescues that took place. The California Highway Patrol stepping in to evacuate over 40 people, and maybe more by this hour. But a couple of hours ago, we were able to confirm that the California Highway Patrol were able to evacuate over 40 people by helicopter. And we know that approximately 30 of those were vineyard workers at Atlas Peak. And in addition to those vineyard workers who were there trying to do their job during the harvest, a range of people ranging in age from 5 to 91, as well as 5 dogs and cats. So good work is being done out there by first responders, but there's a lot more to do. Yeah, if you're familiar with the area, if you've ever been a tourist, and a lot of us have, the Atlas Peak area is where the Silverado Trail is, and the Silverado Country Club. And of course, we were just discussing the 17th hole, the grandstands went up in flames. There are homes there, there are vineyards, and we actually are going to go out now live to our Teresa Estacio. She is in Santa Rosa, to one of the really hard-hit neighborhoods there. Teresa, what's the latest?
So we are in the northeast section of Santa Rosa, and I just want to show you, that's the sun up there, and you can see that orange glow. It is an ominous color. It is reflective of all the soot in the air and the fires that are still raging out of control in this area. We've got some video that I took just a short time ago, and you can see as home after home has been destroyed. Now, this is in the Rincon Valley area and just off of Harville Road, and I was just driving around from Rincon Valley Middle School, and I had seen some flames earlier in the day and some popping noises, and I went around the corner, and that's when I saw all of these homes that had been destroyed. I talked with some neighbors, and they told me that they had evacuated early in the morning, that they were very concerned about their neighbors, and then they went back to the scene and they saw all of the devastation. Listen in. Your neighbors, a couple of the neighbors, their home's gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
just here, and then when you see here, not even an attempt to be able to protect it or water. we're on county, and so electricity shut down, so we had no water. So helpless. So,
Cindy, these neighbors here, I mean, we're looking at their home.
Yeah, it's absolutely devastating, just completely gone. Yeah, and the Rincon Riders Club, completely gone.
All the memories lost.
I know. Yeah, it's been here since 1937. So pretty devastating. We built our home, and so we're thankful that it's still here.
And these fires are hot and still raging, even in the homes that have been destroyed. A lot of those reasons are because of the natural gas lines still burning. The natural gas has not been turned off in a lot of these homes. And so as I was going over to take some of the video, so intense, burned, sides of my face. I just, got the video and got out of there safely. But, we have been talking to a lot of people throughout the day, and they just tell me again and again that they just have this helpless feeling in this area because they don't know exactly what to do. They're so concerned with their neighbors. They're concerned about businesses in the area. But right now, a totally out of control situation still here in the northeast area of Santa Rosa. Back to you guys.
All right, Teresa, we know you have been out there all day long and certainly putting yourself in situations that are potentially hazardous, so stay safe.
Let's go to another neighborhood that just 24 hours ago was in perfectly good shape, but today destroyed. Dan Kerman has that story. Dan?
We're here on Crestview Drive in Santa Rosa, and this entire neighborhood has been wiped out. All you can see are chimneys. Everything else is ash and rubble. Residents tell us they woke up somewhere around 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Winds were howling, they tell us. They went outside. They saw the trees in front of their homes on fire. They knew it was time to get out. Some say they just got out with the clothes on their back. Others were able to grab a few important papers, maybe a photo book, but that was it. Many families now returning to the scene to see if there's anything they can salvage. In most cases, there is not. In Santa Rosa, Dan Kerman, KRON 4 News.
Thanks, Dan. It is just stunning to look at these images and say, 12, 15 hours ago, that was a neighborhood. People were tucked in for bed and getting ready to start the work week, and all of a sudden they wake up to this horror. And now the horror has gotten even worse.
It's so ironic. Grant Lotus was there for the golf tournament. I was there for a conference. Brittany Shipp was just there in the wine country, having a good time drinking wine. Everything was great.
Yeah, I was there last night, and throughout the entire day, it was just a little breezy. We did see a little smoke off in the distance near Domaine Carneros, but that was really it. And then our wind speeds picked up after 10, 11 o'clock at night, and it went from about 10 to 15 mile per hour breezy conditions all the way gusting to 40 miles per hour, and it stayed strong through the entire night. And that's when these fires just simply exploded all over the North Bay zone. We still have a red flag warning in effect. The National Weather Service has now updated it, so the new update is an improving forecast. We are going to see shifting winds, so it's going to be out of the south, right around 20 miles per hour, but that is at least a lot calmer than what we were seeing last night. So we're not expecting the dramatic wind speeds to kick up again to 40 miles per hour. Still going to be breezy. We will also see recovering humidity. So we spent most of the day with humidity levels anywhere between 10 to 15% for Napa and Santa Rosa. As we go into the rest of tonight, we will see more moisture moving in. That means our humidity is going to be anywhere between 20 to 40%. I just updated the Napa humidity. It's at 10% right now. Santa Rosa is still less than 20%. Concord 15. This is really dry air that's right over these cities, and a combination of the dry air and our really strong wind gusts overnight. Take a look at the colors here. So Santa Rosa, Napa, we saw the strongest wind speeds of the entire area, mainly in our North Bay zone, from pretty much 11 p.m. all the way until 5 a.m. And for areas like Fairfield, still at 7 o'clock, we were dealing with wind gusts up to about 31 miles per hour. Now, as we went into the afternoon, we started to see our wind speeds dying down, and that will be true as we go into the rest of tonight. You can see our wind direction arrows shifting around a bit as we head into our overnight hours into tomorrow. So we're expecting more of a southerly wind speed. That means more moisture moisture and less dry air simply moving in over the region. Our wind speeds right now are in the single digits. That, of course, is a good thing. We will also be seeing slightly cooler temperatures as we go into tomorrow, but with the wind direction coming in from the north, at least for the next few hours until it shifts up, coming up from the south, we'll continue to see lots of smoke throughout San Francisco, throughout your South Bay zone, also even towards our East Bay zone. So you want to be careful if you suffer from respiratory illnesses. Limit your outdoor activities, and this applies to everyone. Elderly, make sure you bring your pets inside as well. Just be careful as we head into the next few days until we get fresher air moving back in. Guys.
All right, thank you, Britt. We do have an update we want to share with you as you continue to look at this devastation here. Previously, we've reported that the first person who was reported dead was from Mendocino County, then 2 more added from the Atlas fire in Napa County, and now we have 7 confirmed deaths from our Hazik Medyoun. He is in the wine country right now, and he says we have 7 confirmed deaths coming from Sonoma County. Now, my producer has just told me that that number has gone up now. It is 9 confirmed deaths, including Napa. So we have Napa, Sonoma County, 9 deaths. And, you know, as the firefighters have been telling us that they have been concentrating on saving lives rather than, you know, battling this fire. But because of the magnitude of it, and it's so out of control that even authorities are having a hard time assessing the total damage and the number of people hurt and killed. So this is only scratching the surface. We haven't been able to talk very much about people who are missing, only in the context of it's hard to communicate. It's hard to communicate because the power is down for 99,000 people. Cell phones are down for so many people trying to communicate from outside of wine country and then those from inside these affected counties. So knowing whether someone's missing or not is not even at the beginning of what they're trying to do. They're trying to fight the fire. They're trying to get people evacuated. They're trying to stop the advance of this blaze. So it's no surprise that there are new numbers coming out as we discover that people have been lost.
And we've had reporters on the ground from early morning, and certainly we have team coverage now. Our Hermela Aragawi is at Highway 12 in Sonoma with more.
We are along Highway 12 at Madrone Road. As you can see behind me, there is a lot of smoke. A short while ago, it had died down, but it appears to be growing again. We were actually on our way to Glen Ellen, but got stopped here because they're no longer letting people through. They say it is not safe to go any further north of here. Dozens of people parked along Highway 12 at Madrone just watching this all unfold. Some people here just live nearby and are trying to get a sense of whether they'll be okay to stay or whether they should leave their homes. Others have already been evacuated. Most of those evacuated were told to leave their homes after midnight. We spoke to people that say they don't think they'll have homes to return to.
Our landlord told us to evacuate around maybe 1:30, and my kids were coughing because of the smell was going through our house. We could see the fire just outside our house, so we decided to evacuate, and we can go back to the apartments. Everything's blocked. We don't know if our apartments are okay or if they're burnt. We called the landlord, but she's not answering, so we're just waiting. We were just seeing the ashes everywhere, like on the sky, and it's just dropping off. And I grabbed my kids, and I'm like, you know what? Before anything else happens, let's go. And we just went to my mom's house, but you could just feel the heat of the fire. You could see that it was getting bigger and spreading out more. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna wait. I'm just gonna grab my kids and take off. And we did that.
I could see so much fire. Everything turned red. The whole neighborhood where I live, there's like 10 duplexes right next to each other, and then it was completely red. Completely red. You could see the flames going up, and then we drove towards Glen Ellen, back that way, and we went around, and it was just covered in smoke. You couldn't see anything. It felt pretty close, and it was scary, really scary. And thank God we're okay. We got some of our stuff, not everything, but we did. But I was not expecting this. My home is destroyed. It burned down, and they haven't even said anything.
We'll stay on scene here on Highway 12 at Madrone Road in Sonoma. We'll talk to more people that are anxiously watching the fire, and we'll hear from them coming up later in the show. Reporting in Sonoma, Hermela Argawi, KRON 4 News.
And as we had been reporting all day long, schools in Napa and Sonoma were closed today, and we just received information that schools in the Napa Valley Unified School District, they will stay closed on Tuesday because of these fires. Also, Santa Rosa City Schools District, Sonoma State University, and Santa Rosa Junior College. Those are some of the schools that will remain closed on Tuesday.
All right, let's give you an overview of what we're struggling with here as we come to the 17-hour point of this fire system. It's all throughout the North County areas, and these are some of the fires. There are 14 of them that we can report to you. As far north as Calistoga, where the Tubbs fire began late Sunday night, 25,000 acres there have been just destroyed there. The Nuns fire is near Glen Ellen. That's about 5,000 acres. The Cherokee fire near Oroville and Butte. The Partrick fire is 3,000 acres. That's in the south. The Sulphur fire, 2,000 acres. The Redwood fire, that's in Mendocino County, claiming at least one life. Now, the Highway 37 fire, there's a little bit of progress to report there. It's 1,500 acres, excuse me, but we can report that that is at least 15% contained. And so CAL FIRE is happy to at least have a handle on some part of it, but we know that 15% is practically nothing in the big picture here.
And as Brittany has been reporting for us, certainly the weather conditions are favorable. They were certainly unfavorable last night with winds around 50 miles per hour, and we were even hearing as high as 70 at some of the higher elevations. People have been evacuated, some 20,000 people. They're being sent to the Calistoga Fairgrounds. As you can see, there's Sonoma County Fairgrounds, Petaluma Community Center, Finley Center. It is at capacity. Santa Rosa Veterans Memorial Hall, that is still open, taking evacuees. Sonoma Valley High School. Yeah, Twin Pine Casino, that is full. That's at capacity, unfortunately, as is Crosswalk Church in Napa.
Here's some other spots where people are going. Napa Valley College, the Sebastopol Community Center, the Anali High School in Cloverdale, Citrus Fairgrounds. Now, all of these spots, including Solano Community College and the Elise Allen High School, the Napa County Animal Shelter, and the Hessel Church, all these spots are available online. So if you have some concerns, you're trying to either track down a loved one or get yourself a place to be tonight, you don't want to go to family relatives that are further away because you want to be near your property, these places are welcoming people. There's plenty of room for the 20,000 people who've been caused to be evacuated tonight. And if you want to be near your home, possibly for the break of day tomorrow, those are the places to go.
Yeah, and the governor has declared these areas disaster zones. FEMA is going to be sending some money here. We reported earlier that we have 9 confirmed deaths now coming out of Sonoma and Napa County, which is certainly dismaying. It's very sad to hear this, but unfortunately, as the fire officials have been telling us, because of the magnitude of this fire and because it hit in the middle of the night, this may not be the end of it.
Calling 911 is an important thing during difficult times. Please call 911 if you've got an emergency. Please call 911 if you see a fire that's starting, but please do not call 911 if you don't have to, because they need to keep those lines open so they can really directly address the resources that they have to put out the hotspots that are bound to continue in Napa and Sonoma and Mendocino County and beyond. Also, if you feel like you're in need of some help for a health reason, do go to the hospital, but bear in mind that a couple of hospitals have been evacuated themselves, and as a result, there's a burden on the ones that remain open. So if you need to go to the hospital, make sure it's for a really good reason. Don't go there for shelter. There are plenty of shelter places for you to go to.
And you know, you've been seeing all day long these images really of the devastation, and certainly people, their hearts go out to those folks. And you know, Santa Rosa has even asked for anyone who is safe, they're in a safe place and their house is okay, if they want to consider volunteering. They actually need help checking in evacuees, you know, distributing supplies at both the Elsie Allen High School and Cook Middle School. Red Cross is there, Salvation Army, but we also have some new information right now. Grant Lotus has some information about the state of emergency being declared, and that's growing.
That's right. We knew the governor earlier today, late this morning, had declared a state of emergency for Napa and Sonoma counties. He has expanded that list substantially given how many fires are burning all over the state. Also now included Lake County, where they have that boil water advisory, Mendocino County, where the first death was confirmed today, also Butte County, Nevada County, and then way down south, Orange County, where a devastating fire there right near Disneyland in the Anaheim Hills has destroyed a number of big homes. So the governor has jumped on this. That will free up money and services so that people and resources can be deployed throughout the state without a lot of the bureaucratic business that can sometimes be associated with that. So that just coming out of Sacramento.
Yeah, all right, thanks for that, Grant. And certainly FEMA has been stretched pretty thin with hurricanes and, you know, just it seems like an endless parade of devastation. And now we are suffering through our own right here in California.
Well, accelerating the support that is necessary, so necessary right now as we still remain in a fighting stance and a rescue mode here. Let's get to one of our reporters on the ground, Camila Bernal, who has a look at what's taking place in her corner of Santa Rosa.
I'm on San Miguel Avenue in a neighborhood in Santa Rosa where the flames are still burning. If you take a look behind me, there is a washer, a dryer, a car. Everything is completely destroyed, and this is what some of the homeowners are having to come back to today. They evacuated at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and now they're coming back to assess the damage. Unfortunately, there is nothing left in this area. Some of them tell me they're devastated, they're sad, they're in shock. But I did hear from one woman who told me that she's thankful. She was thankful to be alive. She was thankful to be with her kids and with her pets and with her loved ones. Now, we did see some CAL FIRE crews come into this neighborhood. They are trying to contain the fire. They're trying to keep the flames here so that it doesn't affect any more homes in the area, but it is a hard task, and they're asking people to avoid the area if possible. But like I said, the flames are still burning, so there is a lot of work to be done in this area and a lot of devastation. Reporting in Santa Rosa, Camila Bernal, KRON 4 News.
And again, these are images from last night, but it gives you a sense of what we are concerned about, what fire are very concerned about as we get ever closer to sundown here in the Northern California area. And as you can see at the lower part of our screen, there are now 9 deaths that are associated with this group of firestorms here in the wine country. Our Rob Flattabo has spent time today talking to some of the evacuees, this one from Napa.
We live in an area called Monticello Park. It's just a little south of Silverado Country Club, and all we could see was glowing red everywhere. Very scary because you didn't really know what direction it was from, you know, and but you could just see this glowing red sky all over.
We had a phone call from our neighbor who said, we're packing up our car and we're leaving. And the next thing I know, then we woke up and got dressed and went outside, and the sheriff's department was all over knocking on doors, tying a ribbon around the tree that they knew the house was not occupied. So then we came down here, as I said, at 5 o'clock, and been here ever since.
We got to sleep around 3, and then at 5:30, the sheriff department was knocking on doors, and my neighbor came by and said, "Time to go." So we, you know, packed up really quickly and headed in. And, you know, so important to be prepared, and I thought I was, and then I realized that I didn't have cat carriers for my 2 cats. So I stuffed them both in pillowcases and put them in the back of the car with my dog, and nobody was really happy about the arrangement, but we all got out.
Of course, anyone who loves their animals, and we do, they're concerned about, you know, when they're being evacuated, what do they do with their pets? And some of the evacuation centers, the shelters, are providing shelter for the 4-legged creatures as well. We have one here in Cloverdale, Citrus Fair. In Cloverdale, they are sheltering both people and their pets.
Well, the livestock, I mean, we haven't even begun to talk about that really, but there's so much of it in these counties that people rely on for service and support. And where do they go? And in some cases, that's just an unanswered question tonight, because they're still fighting the fires. They're still trying to get people out of harm's way, and that is the job number one right now.
And we talked about this earlier, but hospitals were being evacuated, Sutter and Kaiser, and there were people who were, women who were in the midst of, giving birth, and they were being taken by ambulances to Memorial.
Thank goodness that Santa Rosa is big enough to have 175,000 people. They're big enough to have numerous hospitals, and the two that were in harm's way had to be evacuated. They took the most important patients, the ones that were in most serious need of help, and gave them a place to stay. And then they stacked up, 10 ambulances outside and said, okay, we're ready to go. Get the next group that really needs help to bring them here.
And because this is still a very active fire scene, authorities are telling us just to remind people to stay off the roads if possible, because that could hinder emergency vehicles and then evacuees as they're still trying to get people out to safety. And also, stay away from 911 unless you really need it.
There are first responders that are going to work through the night again. They were up last night. They'll be doing it again tonight. They're going to be looking for people. They're going to be looking for flames, trying to solve this incredible challenge that basically 8 counties are facing right now. 3 of them declared disaster area, and that just frees up resources. And as we get mutual aid from other places across the state, as far away as San Diego, coming up here to help fight these fires, and there are 14 of them. We're going to need the time and the access so that people who really shouldn't be there don't be there right now.
Communication has been really sketchy, and a lot of people have been confused. We're trying to provide the best information we can. We understand there's a press conference that is going to be held at the command center at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds, where authorities will be giving the public and the media an update as to where things stand right now.
And bear in mind there, for people who, may just be getting ready to leave work or arriving home right now, you're watching KRON 4 on air, or perhaps watching it as we stream it online for this very important news that has been unfolding over the last almost 20 hours. This is going to be significant going into the night. And by the way, CAL FIRE is fighting another series of fires in Southern California, right in sight of Disneyland, where people are observing flames in the skies in the mountains down there, and several homes have been damaged already. As many as 1,000, as I recall, are threatened, and people are being evacuated down there, and so that is kind of diminishing resources across the state.
Yeah, all of this happening simultaneously. But this fire in the wine country is really hitting home, and especially for our own Brittany Shipp standing by. You have a friend who was evacuated?
I do. I have a friend, and she evacuated last night. Like I mentioned, we were there in wine country yesterday, and it was just breezy, and then the wind speeds really picked up. So this is video that Mallory McElligott sent us, and this is her family's home near the Silverado Country Club in Napa. They evacuated last night, not knowing what they would find when they return, and this is video of what they saw this afternoon. So you can see it's really emotional as homeowners are coming back, Steve and Vicky. They don't know what they're going to find. Mallory saw all of her neighbors' homes burned to the ground, and luckily her home was still there. So these are just one of many stories that we are going to see over the next couple of days as folks start to return back to their neighborhoods, unsure of what they're going to find.
Just listening to her voice, you could feel the pain and the trauma of this certainly will be resonating for some time to come.
And heartbreak upon heartbreak, those are the stories we've been telling throughout this day, and it is far, far, far from over. It will continue into this night as 14 separate fires, very little containment at this hour. Firefighters from across the country coming up to try to help fight this fire. We'll be back with more here at KRON 4 in just moments.
Putting news first. Pam Moore, Steve Avison.